My phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was standing in my kitchen, coffee mug halfway to my mouth, watching the rain streak down the window. The screen lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Don't get on that ship." I stared at it for a full 10 seconds. Then I looked at the envelope on my counter. Cream-colored. Heavy stock. My daughter's handwriting on the front. The cruise invitation. The one I'd been holding like a trophy for the past 3 days. I typed back, "Who is this?" No reply. I called the number. Voicemail. A generic robotic voice. No name. No identifying information. My hand was steady. That surprised me. Inside, my heart was pounding like a jackhammer. But my hand, the same hand that had held a framing hammer for 40 years, didn't shake. I set the mug down and picked up the envelope again. Alaska. 7 days. All expenses paid. "You deserve this," Emily had written. Love, Emily. I'd been a foreman on high-rise construction sites for most of my adult life. I'd seen men fall. I'd seen scaffolds collapse. I'd learned to read the small signs. The hairline crack in a concrete beam. The slight wobble in a support column. The way a man's voice changes when he's lying. The text was a crack. A wobble, and I'd learned not to ignore those. I went to my garage and pulled out the old filing cabinet. The one with the rusted handle and the stuck drawer I had to jiggle every time. I found my phone records from 3 months ago. Emily had called me on a Tuesday. We talked for 11 minutes. Nothing unusual. Then I remembered something else, the postmark on the envelope. It was local. From my city. Not from hers. I called her, "Dad." "Hey." Her voice was bright. Too bright. Like she was expecting this call. Like she'd been waiting for it. "Hey, sweetheart. Quick question. Did you mail that invitation from here? When you visited last month?" There was a pause. Just a half second. But I caught it. No. I had a friend mail it for me. I was really busy with work and she laughed. A nervous laugh. "Why do you ask?" "Just wondering." "Dad, are you excited? Did you look at the itinerary? Mark picked the best excursions. You're going to see glaciers." "Real glaciers, Dad." "Icebergs." "Whales." "Sounds amazing." "It is amazing. You earned it. You really have." We talked for another few minutes. She told me about her new promotion. About a dinner party they'd hosted. About Mark's upcoming business trip to Seattle. Normal stuff, but I couldn't shake the feeling. After we hung up, I walked to the window. The rain had stopped. The street outside was quiet. I watched a delivery truck pass. Then a woman walking her dog. I thought about Emily's voice. That pause. That nervous laugh. I'd taught her to lie. Not on purpose. But I'd taught her the way all fathers teach their daughters, by example. I'd told her the tooth fairy was real. I'd told her Santa Claus brought the presents. I'd told her I wasn't scared when we lost the house in the divorce. I knew her tales, and that pause, that was a tale. I spent the rest of the morning on my laptop. I looked up Mark Delaney. My son-in-law. Financial analyst. Married to my daughter for 5 years. He always seemed like a decent guy. Polite. Hardworking. Made good money. Treated Emily well, but I found something. A public business registry. Mark's name linked to a company called Northern Lights Cruises. That was the travel agency that booked my trip. I clicked through. The company was registered in Delaware. The address was a P.O. box. No physical office. No phone number listed. Just a mailbox. I searched the name again. Northern Lights Cruises with scam. Nothing specific. Northern Lights Cruises with complaint. Same, but then I searched Mark Delaney with lawsuit. One result. A small claims case from 2 years ago. A contractor named Victor Reyes sued Mark for non-payment. The case was dismissed. No details. I wrote down the contractor's name. Victor Reyes. I called Ray. Ray was my old partner on a construction fraud case we cracked together 5 years back. He was a piano. Retired cop. He still had access to databases I couldn't touch. Ray. It's Jack. Jack. How's retirement treating you? I need a favor. Can you run a name for me? Shoot. Victor Reyes. And a company called Northern Lights Cruises. Silence on the line. Jack. What's this about? I don't know yet. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Ray sighed. Give me an hour. I couldn't sit still. I went outside and started working on the fence. Old wooden posts. Rotting in the ground. I'd been meaning to replace them for 2 years. Now I did it with a fury that surprised me. My phone buzzed. Ray, got something. Talk. Victor Reyes is a construction contractor. Did some work for a company called Northern Holdings. That's a shell. The parent company is a shipping firm called Arctic Transit. Arctic Transit, based in Juneau. They run cargo ships up and down the Inside Passage. And Jack Northern Lights Cruises, they're not a travel agency. They're a subsidiary. They don't sell tickets to the public. They only book private charters. My stomach dropped. Private charters, yeah. And your cruise is one of them. I gripped the post hole digger so hard my knuckles went white. Ray. I need more. I'm digging. But Jack, listen. This is getting dark. There's money moving through these companies, hundreds of thousands. It's not clean money. It's being laundered. Laundered how? I don't know yet. But I found a connection to a shipping route that goes through Canadian waters. They pick up cargo off the coast of British Columbia. The manifests are vague. Industrial equipment. Machinery parts. Stuff that doesn't get inspected. I set the post hole digger down. What kind of machinery parts? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. But Jack, I need you to be careful. If this is what I think it is, you're not just dealing with a scammer. You're dealing with organized crime. Mark, your son-in-law is in it up to his neck. I don't know if he's the mastermind or just a cog. But he's in it. I looked at the fence. Half repaired. The posts were straight. The new wood was solid, but my world wasn't solid anymore. Ray. I'm going on that cruise. Jack, no, I'm going. But I'm not going as a tourist. I'm going as a father. If Mark is using Emily, if he's putting her in danger, Jack, you're not a cop. You're not an agent. You're one man. I'm enough. Ray was quiet for a long moment. Promise me you'll stay in touch. Every day. And promise me you won't do anything stupid. I can't promise that. He sighed again. I knew you'd say that. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. The fan rotated slowly above me. I replayed every conversation I had with Mark in the past year. Every family dinner. Every holiday. His face. His smile. His easy way of talking. Had I missed something, I thought about Emily's voice on the phone. That brightness. That eagerness, was she in on it? No. Not my daughter. She was naive sometimes, but she wasn't dishonest. She didn't have a deceptive bone in her body, but she loved Mark. And love made people blind. I got up at 3 a.m. and walked to Emily's old room. I hadn't changed it since she moved out. Pink walls. Stuffed animals on the shelf. Photos on the dresser. Her at 6, missing 2 front teeth. Her at 15, holding a state championship trophy for track. Her at 22, graduating college, Mark's arm around her. I picked up the frame and looked at Mark's face. I'd never had a reason to distrust him, until now. I set the photo down and walked back to my room, I opened my closet and pulled out my old work bag. The one I used to carry my tools. I packed it with things I might need. A heavy-duty flashlight. A multi-tool. A roll of duct tape. A small first aid kit. A burner phone I bought with cash. I also packed my wallet. The one with my ID and my credit cards, and my father's old pocket watch. The one he carried through the war. It was a small thing, but it made me feel like I wasn't alone. The next morning, I drove to the hardware store. I needed to keep my hands busy. I walked through the aisles, touching the tools. The hammers. The saws. The levels. Frank, the store manager, found me in the plumbing section. Jack. You okay? You look like you haven't slept. I've got a lot on my mind. Anything I can help with, I almost told him. Almost. But Frank was a talker. And I needed to keep this quiet. Just thinking about a fence job, I said. Need some galvanized nails. He pointed me to the right aisle. I bought 2 boxes and left. On my way out, my phone buzzed again. Another text. Another unknown number. I told you to stay away. I stopped mid-stride, right there in the parking lot. Who is this? I typed. No reply. I called the number. Voicemail. Same generic voice. I looked around. The parking lot was quiet. A few cars. A woman loading groceries into her trunk. A man walking his dog. No one was watching me, but someone was. Someone knew I was on this trail. I got into my truck and sat there. The leather seat was hot from the sun. I turned the key. The engine rumbled. But I didn't put it in drive. I thought about the text. I told you to stay away. The first text was a warning. This one was a threat. I was past warnings now. I called Emily. She answered on the second ring. Dad. How's your day going? I'm good, sweetheart. Listen, I had a question about the cruise. Shoot. Did Mark use a specific travel agent? I want to call and thank them. I think he used someone from his company. I can ask him. Don't bother. I'll just send a general email. Okay. Dad, are you sure you're okay? You sound different. I'm fine. Just excited. I've never been on a cruise before. She laughed. You're going to have the best time. I promise. Mark and I have been planning this for months. We wanted to surprise you. Months, yeah. He started working on it back in January. It was his idea, actually. He said you deserved a break. I felt a chill. January. That was when the shell company was registered. It was Mark's idea. He planned this. Dad, are you still there? Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, sweetheart. I love you. I love you too. Call me when you get to Juneau. I will. I hung up. My hands were sweaty. I wiped them on my jeans. Mark had planned this. He picked the ship. He booked the trip. He'd done everything through a shell company. My son-in-law was using my daughter, and he was using me. I thought about what Ray said. Human trafficking. Smuggling. Criminal enterprise. I thought about the people who might be on that ship. The ones who didn't have a choice. The ones who were being transported like cargo. I thought about my daughter. The girl I'd raised alone. The girl I'd taught to ride a bike. The girl I'd walked down the aisle 5 years ago. I thought about what I was going to do to Mark Delaney, and I smiled, not a happy smile. A cold one. The kind of smile you get when you reached the end of your rope and you realize you have nothing left to lose. I started the truck and drove home. I had a ship to board, and a son-in-law to destroy. I'd spent 42 years on construction sites. I'd started as a laborer, hauling lumber in the rain, my boots soaked through by noon. I worked my way up to foreman because I was the last one to leave and the first one to show up. I didn't take shortcuts. I didn't cut corners. I built buildings that would outlast me. I raised my daughter alone. My wife died when Emily was 7. Cancer. Fast and cruel. One day she was there, making pancakes, on a Sunday morning. The next, she was in a hospital bed, her hand too thin to hold mine. I buried her on a Tuesday and went back to work on Wednesday because Emily needed shoes for school and I needed to keep the mortgage paid. For 15 years, I did everything myself. I packed her lunches. I went to parent-teacher conferences. I sat in the bleachers at her track meets, rain or shine, my steel-toed boots covered in mud. I taught her to drive. I paid for her college with overtime shifts and weekends I never got back. I didn't complain. Not once. I told myself that's what fathers did. We carried the weight. We didn't drop it. When she met Mark, I was relieved. He was polite. He had a good job. He made her happy. I figured my work was done. I could finally rest, but somewhere along the way, I stopped being a person to them. I became something else. A fixture. The old man in the corner. The retired foreman with the bad knees and the outdated opinions. The one who didn't understand how the world worked anymore. I saw it at Christmas. I'd drive 3 hours to their house in the suburbs. I'd bring presents. I'd bring a pie from the bakery Emily liked. And I'd sit on their couch while Mark talked about his quarterly bonuses and Emily scrolled through her phone and the conversation flowed around me like I was a piece of furniture. Dad, you don't understand the market, Emily said once when I asked a question about her job. I understand enough, I said. No, you don't. It's different now. It's not like building houses. I didn't build houses. I built high-rises. Commercial grade. She rolled her eyes. Same thing. It wasn't the same thing. It wasn't even close. But I let it slide. I always let it slide. At Thanksgiving, they came to my house. I cooked the turkey. I made the stuffing. I set the table with the good china my wife had saved up for. Mark spent the whole meal on his phone, replying to emails. Emily didn't say a word. She just picked at her food and told me the gravy was too salty. I stopped cooking after that. I ate frozen dinners. Lean cuisine. Salisbury steak. Things I could microwave in 5 minutes. On Father's Day, Emily would call me at noon. A quick call. 5 minutes, tops. She'd say Happy Father's Day and then she'd have to go. Mark was taking her to brunch. They had a reservation. She was sorry. She'd make it up to me, she never did. Birthdays were worse. She'd send a card. A Hallmark card with a pre-printed message. She'd sign it Love, Emily and Mark. Sometimes she'd include a gift card to a restaurant I didn't eat at. Olive Garden. Red Lobster. Places that served food I couldn't digest. I never returned the gift cards. I kept them in a drawer. I didn't know why. Maybe I thought they'd be worth something someday. Maybe I just didn't want to admit that my daughter didn't know me anymore. Mark never called me. Not once in 5 years. He'd nod at me at family gatherings. He'd shake my hand. But he never asked me how I was. He never asked about the knee surgery I had 2 years ago. He never asked if I needed help with the house. I was invisible to him. A checkmark on a list. His wife's father. Nothing more. I remember one moment. It was small. But it stuck with me. I was at their house, fixing a leaky faucet in the guest bathroom. Emily's husband was a financial analyst. He could move money around on a spreadsheet. But he couldn't fix the faucet. So I did it. I always did it. Mark walked by the bathroom door. He saw me on my knees, wrench in hand, water dripping down my arm. Jack, you don't have to do that, he said. I can call a plumber. It's already done, I said. He looked at me for a second. Then he shrugged and walked away. Not a thank you. Not a I appreciate it. Just a shrug. Like I was a hired hand he'd forgotten to pay. I finished the faucet. I dried my hands. I walked out to the living room. Emily was on her phone, laughing at something. Mark was on his laptop, typing. They didn't notice me. I drove home that night with the windows down, even though it was cold. I needed air. I needed to breathe. I'd given them everything. My time. My money. My weekends. My retirement years. I'd given them every piece of myself I had left. And they gave me back silence. I started to see the pattern. Emily would call when she needed something. Her car wouldn't start. She needed a cosigner on a loan. She'd forgotten her keys and I had the spare. The calls were quick. Transactional. They ended as soon as her problem was solved. When I called her, it was different. She'd be busy. She'd be in a meeting. She'd call me back. She never did. I started to wonder if I'd done something wrong. Maybe I'd been too strict. Maybe I'd worked too much. Maybe I should have remarried. Given her a mother. But that wasn't it. I'd done my best. I loved her. I'd shown up. Every single time. The problem wasn't me. The problem was that I'd let them treat me like this. I'd never pushed back. I'd never said I need you to listen to me. I just absorbed it. Like a sponge. Like that concrete I used to pour. I set myself and hardened, and now a cruise. A cruise to Alaska. All expenses paid, it was a gift. But it was also a reminder. A reminder of how little they actually thought of me. A retired old man with nothing to do. Someone to send off on a ship so they could have his house to themselves for a week. That's what I thought. I was wrong, but I didn't know that yet. I only knew that the text had come. And the text had confirmed something I'd been feeling for a long time. The people who were supposed to love me, they didn't see me, and that was going to change. I drove to their house on a Saturday. I didn't call ahead. I wanted to see things for myself. The way they lived when they weren't expecting me. The house was a 2-story colonial in a gated community. Big lawn. White fence. A Lexus in the driveway next to a BMW. Mark was doing well. Better than well. He was making money I'd never seen in my life. I parked on the street. I walked up the front path. The grass was manicured. The flower beds were perfect. Everything looked staged. Like a magazine cover. I rang the bell. Emily answered. Her face went through a quick series of expressions. Surprise. Confusion. Then a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Dad. What are you doing here? I was in the neighborhood. Thought I'd stop by. She stepped aside. Come in. Mark's in the study. I walked into the living room. It was clean. Too clean. White couches. Glass coffee table. A rug that probably cost more than my truck. Mark came down the stairs. He was wearing a polo shirt and khakis. His hair was perfectly combed. He looked like he just stepped out of a catalog. Jack. Unexpected visit. He didn't sound happy. He sounded inconvenienced. I wanted to talk about the cruise. I said, everything's set. Northern Lights has all your information. Right. Northern Lights. I watched his face. You booked through them. They're a preferred vendor. Good rates. Reliable. He smiled. I wanted to make sure you had a first-class experience. First class. Absolutely. Balcony suite. Premium dining package. You're going to love it. I nodded. I looked at Emily. She was hovering near the kitchen, her phone in her hand. She wasn't looking at me. Emily, I said. Can we talk? She looked up. Sure, Dad. What about, just us? A minute alone. She glanced at Mark. He gave a small nod. She walked to the back porch. I followed. The porch was screened in. There were rocking chairs. A table with a vase of flowers. The view was of the backyard, a pool, a grill, a patio set. I got a text, I said. From an unknown number. It said don't get on that ship. Her face went pale. Then she laughed. A nervous laugh. Dad, that's ridiculous. It's probably a wrong number. Or a prank. A prank? Yeah. Kids these days. They do stuff like that. I watched her. You think that's what it was? Of course. What else could it be? I didn't answer. I just looked at her. She shifted her weight. Dad, you're scaring me a little. Am I? What's going on? Why are you acting so strange? I wanted to tell her. I wanted to grab her by the shoulders and shake her. I wanted to say your husband is involved in something bad. Something dangerous. And I think you're in danger too. But I didn't, because I didn't have proof. Not yet. And because I still hoped I was wrong, I just had a weird feeling, I said. That's all. She relaxed. Dad, you're always having weird feelings. Remember when you thought the mailman was stealing your newspapers? He was. He wasn't. You just forgot you canceled the subscription. I let it go. Okay, I said. You're right. I'm probably overthinking. Of course you are. That's what you do. She squeezed my arm. Go on the cruise. Have fun. Stop worrying about everything. I nodded. I didn't tell her about the second text. The one that said I told you to stay away. I didn't tell her about Ray's findings. I didn't tell her about the shell company or the cargo ship or the money laundering. She wouldn't have believed me anyway. That night, I sat in my truck in the parking lot of a diner. The place was called the Rusty Nail. It had been there since the 1970s. I'd been eating there since I started in construction. I ordered coffee. Black. The waitress knew me. She didn't ask questions. I watched the door. At exactly 7 p.m., Ray walked in. He was a big man. Broad shoulders. Gray hair. He moved like a cop even though he'd been retired for 6 years. He sat down across from me. What did you find? I went to their house, I said. Emily was nervous. Mark was too smooth. He kept talking about Northern Lights like it was a real company. It's not. I know. But he doesn't know I know. Ray pulled out a folder. I found more. The ship the Northern Star, it's flag in Panama. That's a flag of convenience. Means the owners don't want to be tracked. The registration shows the owner as a holding company based in the Cayman Islands. Which is another shell. Exactly. And Jack, I found the passenger manifest. There are 42 people booked on your cruise. But only 12 of them are paying passengers. The rest are listed as ship employees. Ship employees, according to the manifest. But there's no way a ship that size needs 30 employees. That's too many. They're not employees, I said. No. They're cargo. I set my coffee down. My hands were steady. Human trafficking. I think so. They pick up the passengers in international waters. Canadian side of the border. They bring them in on the ship. They use the paying passengers as cover. Mark knows this. Mark is part of this. He's listed as a consultant on the holding company's bank accounts. He's been moving money for them for at least a year. I closed my eyes. Do you have proof? I said. Enough to go to the authorities. But Jack, if I do that now, they'll tip off the ship. The operation will go dark. You lose the evidence. So I have to wait. You have to wait until the ship docks. Then you need evidence from the inside. Something that proves what's happening on board. I opened my eyes. I'll get it. Jack. You don't have to do this alone. I can contact the FBI. We can set up a task force. No. They'll scare Mark off. He'll disappear. And Emily, she'll be in the middle of it. She's already in the middle of it. I know. That's why I have to do this. Ray stared at me. Then he nodded. Okay. But you're not going in blind. I'm going to wire you. I'll have a contact on the ground in Juneau. She's a former agent. She'll meet you at the dock. What's her name? Sarah Voss. She'll have backup. Don't go rogue on me, Jack. Rogue. That's a good word. Jack. I'm not going rogue. I'm just going. Thursday morning. I packed the car. One bag. Just like Emily said. Jeans. Flannels. A waterproof jacket. I added the flashlight. The multi-tool. The duct tape. The burner phone. I didn't call Emily before I left. She called me the night before. Brief call. She was at a dinner party. Mark was there. She was laughing in the background. Dad, I'm so excited for you. You're going to have the best time. The wheels, Dad. The wheels. Thanks, sweetheart. I love you. I love you too. She hung up. I sat there in my kitchen, holding the phone, listening to the dial tone. The house was quiet. The rain was coming down outside. I turned off the lights. I locked the door. I got in my truck. The drive to the airport was an hour. I didn't turn on the radio. I didn't need noise. I needed to think. I needed to think about what I was going to do. I needed to plan. I needed to anticipate. I thought about Mark. The way he moved. The way he talked. He was calculated. Controlled. He didn't sleep. Which meant he was practiced. He'd been doing this for a while. I thought about Emily. She wasn't a part of it. I knew that in my bones. But she was close to it. Close to him. And that made her vulnerable. I thought about the people on the ship. The cargo. The ones who'd been promised jobs. The ones who'd paid their life savings to get here. The ones who were chained to cots in the belly of a rusted cargo ship. I thought about what I was going to do to Mark, and I drove faster. The plane was full. Business travelers. Families. A few tourists. I was the only one flying to Juneau with a duffel bag and a plan to take down a smuggling ring. I sat in the window seat. The mountains below looked sharp. Unforgiving. I checked my phone. A text from Ray. Contact in Juneau is set. Sarah Voss. She'll have a team. Call her when you dock. Make sure your phone is charged. I typed back. Got it. Another text. Unknown number. Last warning. Turn back. I stared at it. My jaw clenched. I typed. No. The ship was at the dock when I arrived. The Northern Star. 4 decks. Rust streaks on the hull. A fresh coat of white paint over old patches. She looked tired. Tired and pretending. A crew member met me at the gangplank. Young guy. Clean-shaven. Derek, Mr. Morrison, welcome aboard. I'm your cabin steward. Thanks. He led me through narrow corridors. Worn carpet. The smell of salt and diesel and metal. Here we are. Suite 412. Balcony access. Let me know if you need anything. One thing, I said. I lost my phone charger. Is there a store on board where I can buy one? I think we have some at the gift shop. I can check. Don't bother. I'll find it. He nodded and left. I opened the door to the room. Small. A bed. A desk. A window. I sat down on the bed. The room was quiet. Too quiet. I pulled out the burner phone. I texted Ray, on board. Room 412. It's happening. He replied, I'm here. Watching. Don't do anything until you have proof. I didn't reply. I walked out of the room and started exploring. I found the stairs. I found the crew-only door. I felt the vibration beneath my feet. The same vibration I felt in my gut the moment I got that first text. I went back to my room. I sat on the bed. I waited. The ship sailed at midnight. I stood on my balcony as the lights of Juneau faded. The water was black. The sky was black. And I knew what Mark had planned. I knew who he was. I knew what he was using my daughter for, and I knew what I was going to do about it. I wasn't going to stop him. I was going to bury him. The ship sailed through the night. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, my back against the wall, my eyes on the door. The vibration of the engines hummed through the floor. The walls creaked. The whole vessel groaned like an old man getting out of bed. At 2 a.m., I moved. I left my room and walked the corridor. The lights were dimmed. The carpet was worn thin in places. I followed the route I'd memorized left at the end of the hall, down the stairs, past the crew-only sign. The door to the lower deck was propped open with a wooden wedge. I slipped through. The metallic smell hit me first. Then the heat. Then the sound, a low murmur, like a hive of bees. I moved down the corridor. The fluorescent lights buzzed. I reached the steel door with the combination lock. I punched in 0214. The lock clicked. I pushed the door open. The room was huge. Cargo hold. Converted. Cots lined the walls. Dozens of them. People were sleeping on them. Men. Women. Children. Their faces thin. Their clothes torn. Some were chained to their cots with zip ties. I stepped inside. A man woke up. He looked at me with hollow eyes. Please, he whispered. Please help us. Where are you from? Mexico. Guatemala. Honduras. We paid. We paid everything. They said we'd get jobs. But they took our papers. They took our phones. They said we had to work to pay off the passage. How long have you been here? 3 days. We're supposed to be picked up tomorrow night. A boat will come. They'll take us somewhere. They won't tell us where. I pulled out my phone. I started taking photos. The cots. The chains. The faces. The small children huddled together. The mothers holding their babies. The man grabbed my wrist. Please. Don't let them take us. I won't, I said. I promise. I took more photos. I recorded his voice. I recorded the room. I documented everything. Then I heard footsteps. I ducked behind a stack of boxes. The steel door swung open. 2 men entered. Derek, the cabin steward. And the tattooed crewman who confronted me earlier. Everything quiet, the tattooed man said. Quiet, Derek said. Passengers are all in their rooms. The old guy the snoop he's back in his cabin. Keep him there. The delivery is tomorrow night. We don't need complications. Complications don't happen on my watch. They walked through the room, checking the cots. I held my breath. I stayed still. They left after 5 minutes. I waited another 5. Then I crept out. I looked at the people one more time. The man who grabbed my wrist was watching me. His eyes were desperate. I'm going to help you, I whispered. Stay quiet. Stay together. I'll be back. I slipped out of the room. I closed the door behind me. I went back to my cabin. At dawn, I called Sarah Voss. I used the burner phone. The number Ray had given me. She picked up on the first ring. Voss. This is Jack Morrison. Ray's contact. I know who you are. What do you have? Photos? Video? Audio? The ship is carrying at least 30 undocumented people in the cargo hold. They're being held against their will. Chains. Zip ties. No food. No water. They're scheduled to be offloaded tomorrow night. Where? I don't know. The crew won't say. But they mentioned a boat. A transfer in international waters. Canadian side, I think so. Silence on the line. Then, Jack, this is bigger than I thought. I'm going to need authorization. This is going to take time. Time is not something these people have. I know. But I can't move without backup. If I go in alone, they'll kill the witnesses and scatter. I need a team. How long? 24 hours. Maybe less if I can't get FBI involvement. 24 hours is too long. They're transferring the cargo tomorrow night. I understand. But I can't do this alone. I closed my eyes. I'll hold the line. Jack, don't do anything reckless. I hung up. I spent the day walking the ship. I memorized every corridor, every door, every exit. I counted crew members. There were 12 of them. 12 men. Armed, I suspected. I had no weapon. I went to the dining room for lunch. The elderly couple Bill and Martha waved me over. Jack, sit with us. I sat down. How are you enjoying the trip? Beautiful, Martha said. Just beautiful. We saw orcas this morning. Right off the port side. It's a dream come true, Bill said. I can't believe we won the raffle. I looked at them. Kind people. Retired teachers. They had no idea what was happening on the ship they were on. Did you hear anything strange last night? I asked. Strange, voices. Movement. Anything unusual? Bill frowned. No. Why, just curious. I thought I heard something. Probably the engine. Oh, the ship makes all kinds of noises, Martha said. It's old. That's part of its charm. I nodded. I excused myself and went to find the young couple. Tom and Sarah. The honeymooners. They were on the top deck, taking photos. Hey, I said. Can I ask you something? Sure, Tom said. Your parents bought you this trip. Did they use a travel agent? Tom looked at his wife. I think so. Why, I'm just trying to figure out who organized everything. My daughter set it up. She used a company called Northern Lights Cruises. Tom's face changed. That's the same company. Really? Yeah. My parents said they got a deal. A promotional offer. Big discount. I nodded. A promotional offer. They said it was too good to pass up. I looked out at the water. The sea was calm. The sky was blue. It was beautiful. And it was a lie. That night, I did something I'd been putting off. I called Emily. She answered on the second ring. Dad. How's the cruise? It's fine. You don't sound fine. What's wrong, Emily? I need you to listen to me. And I need you to not interrupt. Dad, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Mark is involved in something bad. I don't know if you know about it. I don't think you do. But I need you to hear the truth. What are you talking about? Your husband is a criminal. He's been using me. He's been using you. The cruise the one he booked is a cover. The ship is smuggling people. Human trafficking, Emily. I've seen them. I've taken photos. They're in the cargo hold, chained to their beds. Silence, then, Dad, that's insane. Mark wouldn't, he would. And he has. I have proof. I have documents. I have photos. I have video. Dad, Emily. I love you. I have loved you since the day you were born. And I have let you walk all over me for years because I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought if I kept quiet, if I kept my head down, if I just absorbed it, you'd eventually see me. You'd eventually realize I existed. But you didn't. Neither of you did. You treated me like a piece of furniture. Like I was invisible. And I let you. But I'm done. I'm done being invisible. There was a long silence. Then Emily spoke. Her voice was small. Dad, please. Come home. We can talk about this. Come home, Emily. I'm on a ship full of captives. I can't come home. I have to make this right. Mark is a good man. He's a good husband. He would never. His name is on the accounts. He's been moving money for the smuggling operation for more than a year. It's his business, Emily. Not a side project. His business. I don't believe you. Look at him. Really look at him. The promotions. The bonuses. The trips. The house. Where did the money come from, Emily? He's a financial analyst. He doesn't make enough for any of that. She was crying now. I could hear it in her breathing. Dad, please, I'm not going to let him hurt you. And I'm not going to let him hurt these people. That's a promise. The line went quiet. Then Emily whispered, what are you going to do, whatever it takes? I hung up. I sat in the dark. I waited. At 2 a.m., I heard the footsteps. I opened my door. Derek was there. And the tattoo crewman, Mr. Morrison, Derek said. We need you to come with us. Why? There's been an issue with the ship's manifest. We need to confirm your identity. I already confirmed my identity. Please. Just come with us. I looked at them. 2 men. Both younger than me. Both armed. I was sure I could fight. I could try. But I'd lose. I knew that, so I went. They led me down the corridor. Down the stairs. Past the crew-only sign. Past the steel door. Down another set of stairs, to a room I hadn't seen before. Smaller. No windows. A steel table. 2 chairs. Sit, Derek said. I sat. The tattooed crewman sat across from me. Mr. Morrison, he said. You've been very curious. You've been in places you shouldn't have been. You've been asking questions. I'm a curious person. Curiosity can be dangerous. So can people who chain children to cots. His face didn't change. You think you know what's happening here. I know exactly what's happening here. And I know who's behind it. Who? My son-in-law. Mark Delaney. A pause. Then the tattooed man smiled. A thin smile. Mark Delaney is a client. He's not the boss. Who's the boss? The boss doesn't tell us his name. We're just subcontractors. Subcontractors. That's a nice word for it. The tattooed man leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay in this room until we reach the transfer point. Then you're going to be offloaded with the rest of the cargo. You're going to be sold to a labor operation in South America. You're never going to see your daughter again. You're never going to see the United States again. I didn't flinch. That's your plan. Yep. You know I'm not the only person who knows about this. I know. But the others don't know where you are. And by the time they find you, you'll be gone. I looked at him. And I smiled. You made a mistake. I said, what? You told me I was going to be offloaded tomorrow night. That's not going to happen. Why not? Because I already sent everything. Photos. Video. Audio. Location. Time. I sent it to the FBI. I sent it to the Coast Guard. I sent it to my contact on the ground in Juneau. They're coming. Tonight. Not tomorrow. The tattooed man's face went still. You're bluffing. I'm not bluffing. I've been feeding them information since I stepped on this ship. Everything I saw. Everything I heard. Everything I found in that cargo hold. They have enough to shut you down. Derek shifted behind me. We don't have time for this. He's bluffing, the tattooed man said. But his voice was different. Check your phone, I said. The tattooed man pulled out his phone. He checked it. His face went pale. What? Derek said. The tattooed man looked at me. The Coast Guard just issued a bulletin. They're looking for the Northern Star. Told you. Derek grabbed my shoulder. You're dead. You're dead, old man. I looked up at him. You're the one who's dead. You're the one who's going to federal prison for the rest of your life. The ship lurched. The lights flickered. We heard shouting from above. The engine changed pitch. The ship started turning. Someone's on the bridge, Derek said. The tattooed man stood up. He pulled a gun from his jacket. We're done, he said. We're done here. He pointed the gun at me. The door burst open. FBI agents flooded the room. Guns drawn. Vests. Flashlights. Freeze. FBI. Drop your weapon. The tattooed man dropped his gun. Derek put his hands up. I stood up slowly. My knees were stiff. An agent approached me. Jack Morrison, yeah. You're okay. We're taking over the ship. The captain surrendered. We've got the cargo hold. The people are safe. The crew is in custody. Is my contact here? Sarah was. She's on the bridge. I walked out of the room. I moved through the corridors. The ship was chaos. Agents everywhere. Hands being cuffed. Voices shouting. People crying. I went up to the bridge. Sarah was there. A tall woman with short gray hair. She was reading the crew their rights. Jack, she said. You did good. I had help. We got everything. Photos. Video. Audio. It's airtight. The trafficking ring is done. We've got people in 4 states making arrests right now. Including your son-in-law. My chest tightened. Mark, arrested 2 hours ago. They picked him up at his house. He's in federal custody. And Emily, she's safe. We had agents interview her. She's not involved. She's a victim of fraud, same as you. But she's safe. She's at the local field office. She's cooperating. I nodded. You want to call her? Was asked. Not yet. I need to do something first. I went to the cargo hold. The people were being led out. One by one. Women carrying children. Men with hollow eyes. They were being given blankets and water and medical care. The man who grabbed my wrist was there. He saw me. You did it, he said. You helped us. I did what I could. They were going to sell us to a labor camp. They told us. They said we'd never see our families again. Not anymore. You're free now. He grabbed my hand. He squeezed it. Then he walked away. I watched them go. All of them. The mothers. The children. The fathers who risked everything for a chance. I thought about my daughter. About the phone call. About the years I'd let her treat me like nothing. I'd stopped it. Not the whole world. Not every injustice. But this one. This one was done. I called Emily from the bridge. She picked up on the first ring. Dad, Emily. Are you okay? I'm okay. They told me everything. The FBI. They showed me the photos. I couldn't believe it. Mark. I know. I didn't know, Dad. I swear. I didn't know. I know you didn't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For everything. For the way I treated you. For the way I never listened to you. For the way I let him. It's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay at all. You were right. You were right about everything. And I couldn't see it. I was so blind. Emily. It's okay. No. It's not okay. I was awful to you. I treated you like you were invisible. And you never gave up on me. You never stopped trying. Even when I didn't deserve it. I closed my eyes. You're my daughter. You always deserve it. She was crying. Sobbing. I love you, Dad. I love you so much. I never said it. I never said it enough. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know, sweetheart. I know. Can I see you when you get back? I need to see you. Of course. I'll be there in 2 days. Dad, yeah, I see you. I see you now. I really see you. I stood there, on the bridge of that rusted ship, with the FBI and the Coast Guard and the rescue people. And I cried, not because I was sad. But because after all these years, my daughter finally saw me. The ship docked in Juneau 2 days later. I walked off the gangplank. The sun was bright. The air was cold and clean. Emily was waiting on the dock. She ran to me. She threw her arms around me. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry, Dad. I know. I'm going to be better. I'm going to do better. I promise. You don't have to promise. Just be my daughter. She held me. And I held her. The FBI took Mark away. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at Emily. He didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the people I'd saved. What mattered was the daughter I'd raised. What mattered was the truth. I'd spent my whole life invisible. I'd let them ignore me. I'd let them treat me like a piece of furniture, but I wasn't invisible. I never was. I just had to make them see. I walked away from the dock with my daughter by my side. The sun was warm on my face. For the first time in years, I felt peace. I didn't know what was next. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing. I wasn't invisible anymore.